one of our big goals, in my opinion, is not to coach everybody at a 10 out of 10, but to meet them where they are +1.
Welcome to Behind the Knowledge, a best hour podcast where we dive deep into the lives and stories of inspiring coaches from all walks of life. The two hosts of this show are me, Pat Barber, and my good friend and fellow coach, Todd Acuto. Each week, we'll sit down with the most amazing coaches we can find, uncovering their unique paths, the challenges they've faced, and passions that continue to drive them. Whether you're a seasoned coach, an aspiring one, or simply somebody who likes listening to stories of how people achieve the success that they have, this podcast is for you. So sit back, relax, and get ready to be inspired by the powerful stories and insights from the world of coaching. This is Behind the Knowledge. Let's jump in.
We are here, back with Behind the Knowledge with Cody Looney.
Hey.
Hey.
How are you?
We also have Todd. Todd's here as well.
Hey, Todd.
Level 3 trainer, affiliate owner,
Multiple affiliate owner.
Multiple affiliate
He's
owner?
going to hit every continent twice teaching weightlifting stuff for Burgener
Strength, yep.
Yes. You've got 2 affiliates in the Seattle area as well as a weightlifting gym.
Yep.
So a lot going on.
Yep.
Yeah.
But we'll get to exactly what you're currently doing in a moment. This whole podcast is about telling your story.
Cool.
How did you get here? Because this is a lot you have going on.
Yeah.
What was the very first coaching experience you ever had?
Yeah.
And then what's been that journey?
Cool. I had a early start, to be honest. I started coaching when I was 16.
Okay.
I had a group of kids that my mom taught in school.
Okay.
And they were kindergartners. They wanted to start a soccer team. And none of the parents were available to coach the soccer team. I was 16, playing soccer in high school.
Okay.
And they were like, hey, are you available to do this? And I was like, that sounds awesome. I already know these kids.
Yeah.
And so it was like 8 or 10 of them, 3 or 4 other kids that I hadn't met until then.
Awesome.
And it was chaos the whole time, but I was addicted immediately to the impact you can have on a group, on the individuals themselves. And I coached those kids all the way through 6th grade. I ended up helping out with the basketball team too.
Way.
And so through my teens, as I'm becoming like a young adult, I'm helping these kids turn into cool, hardworking, fun kids.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, like, they really shaped me in my developmental years. I think I helped them a little bit too. But it got me really obsessed with this role of a coach, mentor, someone that can help facilitate growth and improvements either as an individual or as a team. And then have been kind of a junkie for teaching coaching ever since.
Okay, so you did the soccer and then the basketball and the soccer basketball. Then what? Where do you go from coaching
So
there?
then I was in college when September 11th happened. I joined the military. I spent 12 years in the military. And after my first deployment, this was in 2004, I had like 6 or 8 weeks off and was kind of just bored. And so I went to a gym near where I lived, asked if they were looking for any part-time personal trainers, and they were like, yeah, for sure. So I went through like their little 5-day in-house certification training, which was mostly how to sell supplements. And then I was doing personal training at this gym in my free time.
Wait, so you weren't a personal trainer before that?
Yeah. Where did fitness come in? Just naturally with sports, or did you get into that in the military?
Yeah. So I played soccer and hockey and basketball all growing up, and then in college, was just a couple years after high school, is when I joined the military.
Okay.
And so I hadn't done any training. I just coached team sports.
Yeah.
Right.
And then after that, I got a job as a personal trainer. And when I had to go back to the military, I had to kind of report back for work. I had so much fun. I was like, can I keep doing this after work a little bit? And so I had a few clients. It wasn't a ton. I would squeeze them in before work and after work whenever I could. But same story. You just get hooked on this process of helping somebody improve something or be a better version of themselves. It's like, you guys know as coaches, it's like, that's almost a greater feeling than improving something yourself.
Oh, for sure.
And so I got hooked on that.
Was it that desire that made you want to be a trainer? Was it the coaching mentorship thing, or was it just like, I like fitness, I want to share this?
That was exactly it. I loved fitness. I've been working hard. My job was very demanding, so I was fit from that. I remember I missed that coaching. I don't know if it was like a deliberate choice, because at 23, 24, very little is deliberate.
You're pretty dumb.
You're kind of just and you're just kind of like rolling with life. And I was like, I like working out. I like helping people. And like, I just kind of went there. I didn't put much thought into it, but I think that natural calling of helping people is what brought me over there. The more the longer I've trained, the longer I've coached, and I realized that the desire to help and that genuine care, it's so vital to your success as a coach, for the athlete's success. And so I think that's what drew me over, just the team coach experience, the passion for helping people and fitness. And then a couple years into that, in the military, somebody introduced us to CrossFit.com.
Yep.
We saw the first workout. It looked pretty stupid, right?
Yeah.
You're like, this is dumb. We'll do this, and then
I don't get this. Yeah.
yeah, and then we'll do our real workout.
Yep.
100%.
And the first workout was Cindy.
Such a basic workout.
So easy. And I literally, I remember the feeling of 3 minutes in. I'm like, yep, this is as boring as I thought it would be. And I think at the 18-minute mark, I stopped. I don't think I finished the AMRAP. So I might be the only person ever to not finish an AMRAP.
You're still going. I'm still
running. Anyways, that brought me to CrossFit.
When you do that workout, you think it's dumb. You give up because it's harder than you thought.
Yes.
Was it immediately like, this is it, or did it still take some convincing?
There was one step in between.
Yeah.
I went to the website, and on the website there was do you remember the old? You remember post time to comments?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Dude, I was looking at these scores.
Saw this guy's name.
Yeah, I did see it. Absolutely, right, for
Saw
sure.
this guy's name.
And everybody was just destroying me at the workout.
Yeah, you're like, wait, what?
And as an operator, you have this like undeserved like arrogance that like you're super elite where you're not, right? And then
I just remember early in CrossFit they used to make fun of CrossFitters for thinking of themselves as super elite, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you get beat by everybody.
Yep.
So like the athlete performer side of me was very humbled, very frustrated, very intrigued. And then you scroll up and down the page, and what do you see? You see kids doing the same thing with backpacks. You see grandparents high-fiving. And so like the personal trainer in me was obsessed with, what is this thing that's creating healthy kids? It's keeping grandparents training, and it whooped me.
Yeah.
Because at the time, this was like, must have been 2004. There wasn't a lot of fitness for those demographics. Kids weren't training.
Right.
Grandparents weren't training. Yeah. And so like that really blew my mind.
Yeah.
And so then I went the next day to CrossFit.com. I did a bad job on that one too, and I just kept working my way through it. And then
What do you mean you did a bad job on that one?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, I was terrible. It was so hard.
Oh,
the workout. Yeah, I did a good job reading their website.
I don't know how you did that.
When I started, I was doing it in a Globo gym, and I didn't get the time component. Post time to comments, I would look at the dial clock and be like, I started, it said about 6:10, and I think I finished, it says 6:18. That must have been 8 minutes. Like none of the rest of that.
Yeah.
So.
Love it.
And I was doing like my kipping pull-ups on like a cable crossover machine.
Oh, yeah, you were. Whole thing is lifting out of the ground each time.
And I had never worked with bumper plates before. Yeah. So I remember seeing a video of Greg Amundsen doing thrusters with 25s, but I'd never seen those. So I was like, they look like 45s to me.
Because of the diameter, of course.
And so I was like, and a thruster, if you don't have that mobility with 135, it's still hard, but I didn't finish Fran the first time I tried it because it was 135. And so anyways, I'm just getting beat down by this thing called CrossFit. And even though I'm doing a bad job executing it, I'm hooked on the struggle.
Yeah.
And so I start bringing it to my personal training clients, also probably implementing it poorly, to be honest.
Dude, it says 21 reps. You got to do all 21, right? Just crushing them, no scaling. This is what the weight's supposed to be.
And they had the same reaction I did of like, what do you mean the whole workout's 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Like, and then...
Just wait.
Yeah. And then they start getting fitter.
Yeah.
They're happy. All the positive things that we know come from CrossFit.
Okay.
And so then I went to get my level 1 down at CrossFit San Diego. This was, I think, the end of 2007, early 2008, something like that. And that was like CrossFit camp.
Yeah.
You remember those?
Yeah.
There was no
I
test.
at that one?
No, you weren't there. You were the only one there, not there. Dave was there. Nicole was there. CJ Martin was there. Mally was there.
Yeah.
Balls was there.
Yeah.
And it was one of the first ones without Greg Glassman.
Right.
So they sent everybody else for the most part.
Right.
But
did Rob Wolf teach nutrition at that one?
No, I think Jimmy taught it at that. Jimmy was the flow. It was one of his first flows, I think I remember.
Okay.
But that was pretty great. And anyways, I've been doing CrossFit by myself, trying to figure stuff out, and it was really hard to figure out. There wasn't quite the resources that we have now. Anyways, I went to the level 1. It was CrossFit camp.
Yeah.
We worked out like 3 or 4 times each day.
Yeah.
No test at the end, and it was I came back so fired up.
Yeah.
And at lunch on day 1, I think, Coach Burgener came down because he lives like 30 miles away, and he started messing with us at lunch. He wasn't part of the staff. He wasn't there officially.
No.
He was just a junkie like the rest of us.
Yeah.
And he came down, and at lunch he just started picking on us, right? And he likes, back in the day especially, loved to pick on military guys. So he's like, is anybody here in the military? And I should know better, but I was like, yeah, me for sure. So he picked on me at lunch. We did the junkyard dog, some stuff with some dumbbells, and I never forgot that. And so we just kind of stayed in touch. You know how he is. Like he wants to work with anybody. He if you care about working hard, he cares about you.
Yep.
And so we stayed in touch a little bit. The next course that he did up in the Seattle area, I just came and helped out a little bit. I didn't know much about Olympic lifting at the time. I've been doing his stuff. At that point, he'd kind of got me on. First I took the course.
Yeah.
He came up next, and I took the course. Went to dinner like Saturday night after, and just kind of caught up a little bit. And then a year later, the next time he came around, I helped out with the course then.
Yeah.
And so at that point, I was still in the military. I'd opened my affiliate by then, my first affiliate, and was still trying to, work on my Olympic lifting, but not super serious. More than anything, I was working on doing a really good job implementing the Olympic lifts in CrossFit classes with a broad audience.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest struggles that we have as coaches and as affiliate owners is recognizing that everybody in the world's a weightlifter.
Yeah.
How are we going to get everyone to do it?
Especially
And that was my first obsession with weightlifting was how do I get, and I don't care about having special shoes. I don't care if you compete or not, but I want you to have proficiency at the snatch, the clean and the jerk for this beginner, new person to get them healthy fit.
Yep.
But I also want to be able to push these athletes that want to perform on this high level.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have them both in the same session and everybody in between.
Yeah.
And so that was my initial obsession with the Olympic lifts.
Hell yeah. And then so when did you come on to staff with Berg?
Yeah, so I think my first official one that I coached was in 2010.
Okay, so you were like 3 years of kind of working with, focusing on the lifts.
2.5, 3 years of helping out. And I this is one of my favorite Coach Burgener stories, but like my third course, he's like, hey, I'm gonna have you teach the front squats at this next course. And so I spent months getting ready and preparing. And this, in my opinion, was Coach B was still like, he was in his prime. He was just like big. He's still a freaking rock star. It is so fun to watch him do his thing. But I remember at the time, I would just watch him do his thing and like, I couldn't believe how sharp he was, how good he was at paying attention to 60 people.
And I think that was like at that time, as you're talking, how hard it was to get new athletes and advanced athletes into the Olympic lifts. There weren't the resources, like you already mentioned, like there is now, and the years of practice and refinement of progressions and things like that. And Pat makes mention of how impactful that Coach B was on really being the first person that could lead an entire group and coach them. Probably he was the first one that did it more similar to the way it's done now in a large group setting. Is that right?
I feel like that is true. To be honest, at that time, I wasn't super involved in the weightlifting specific side of things, so I didn't see a lot of the weightlifting coaches to know that there was much of a difference. But I agree. Looking back now, there weren't coaches that were saying, hey, I want to work with 10 people at a time the way that he was. And so...
Well, there weren't coaches, period, who wanted to do that. Like,
that's true.
Even in CrossFit classes, like the ones that you and I used to teach in 2006, 2007, like what he could do with a group of people in terms of seeing and correcting, like I had never seen that. When I watched him do it, I was like, oh, well, that's coaching. Like I didn't know that was possible to see that many people move, to make that many adjustments, to have that level of comfort with movements.
Right.
So I think that's what he brought coaching to in my opinion, he brought coaching to CrossFit.
Yeah.
Like what we deem today to be coaching.
Yeah.
Before that, it was much more of like, figure it out, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's pretty crazy. It's still like, I don't know. I still don't know anyone that has the ability to do it the way that he does it.
Right.
And I think it comes from a place of he's going to listen and watch and pay attention more than you think he is, and then he'll give you the thing. So he's not in a hurry to tell you what to do or what to change. My favorite thing to watch is if you get to go to his gym at home.
Yeah.
He's sitting in his chair. He's asking you questions about where you're from, your family, but he's watching everything you do.
Yeah.
And then 15, 20 minutes in, then he tells you this one thing, and it's the exact thing that you needed to improve your lift.
I love it.
And so he's taking in. It's like just a cliche of listening more than you talk, whatever it is, right? He's just like, he's a master observer and connector.
Yeah.
So when he has that one thing, it's perfect.
Yeah.
And he could do that with one person, 3 people, 40 people.
Yeah.
It's like a magic trick.
Well, but it's like, it's effortless too. Well, not effortless. It looks effortless.
It looks effortless.
It looks effortless.
Which makes people think it's easy to do, right?
Totally.
Maybe I'll do that. It looks so easy.
Yeah.
But I think that also paints the picture of how important it is for coaches, especially nowadays, that every single moment that you're around somebody, or they're in your gym and they're going through a general warm-up or whatever, we should be watching and evaluating and gathering data on how they're moving and what they're doing, because that's information that you can use to make adjustments going forward, right? And I think a lot of people don't take advantage of that opportunity. It's like, hey, I'm having this conversation, I'm just checking in on you, and I'm not watching how you're doing your air squats. It's like, you've got to be able to do both things to be that high-level coach.
Yeah. I've seen Coach B watch people do line jumps, and you can tell in their feet and ankles, good jumper, tight ankles. So we're in like the first 2 movements, and he's already got a little information. Mm-hmm. Like if you aim small, you're gonna miss small. You're gonna see small, right? Yep. So I think a lot of people too, they see his command and control and his presence and attitude, and they think that what he brings, or what we should be looking for, is just command and control of a large group, versus looking for opportunities for teaching, seeing, correcting.
Yeah.
And he does a great job. He moves around really well too.
Yeah.
So he's never looking at the same person. He never has the same vantage point. He moves because you can only correct what you see, and you can only see what you're looking for. And so he's always moving. He's always looking. And then when he has that thing, he sees a lot at once. If there's a big group correction, like, hey, nobody's finishing. No one's moving the feet. Let's go. And then sometimes it's like, you this. Yeah. But it never gets old watching that. What a great example for all of us coming up watching him.
I was going to say, we've talked a lot on this show, and you can hit this if you want, Todd, but we've talked a lot on the show about, one of the best ways to develop is to find somebody who's a lot better than you and who's a great example of what you want to be, and spend time with them.
Right.
Because that sets the tone for what the expectation is for yourself. And it sounds like that's what you came up under. And you were watching him.
Well, once that becomes the expectation, that's what you think coaching is, and that's what you strive for, right? So I'd love to know, clearly you've talked about how impactful, how effective that he is, but how does that impact your specific coaching?
Are you a CrossFit coach who's feeling stuck in their development? You're not alone. Many coaches lack good guidance when it comes to how to develop as a coach. They either don't have strong examples they find themselves around, they may lack support from their gym owner, and they just feel unprepared going into their next credential. That's why we made the Knowledge Pro, to fill that gap. It's a mentorship program built for coaches like you. It uses the Knowledge Daily, our comprehensive video library, as well as extra content that we put directly into the Knowledge Pro on our live weekly calls twice a week to mentor you and get you to the next level of development. We've got progressions, we've got scales, we've got one-off tips and tricks, we've got full coached classes by level 4 coaches so you can see an example of what it means to do this job well. All of that will also be walked through each week on those live calls, so that you have a soundboard to bounce off of and a group of coaches looking to be better to help support you in your endeavors. Coaching isn't just knowing what to do, it's also knowing how to do it. And that takes 2 things. 1, an example, and 2, practice. Practice is on your end, you gotta go out there and do it. We can help provide that example and the support with the Knowledge Pro. If you wanna know more, click the link below and give the Knowledge Pro a shot. I look forward to seeing you on one of the next calls.
Same thing I said earlier, his ability to pay attention to people and to connect with people.
Yeah.
Because with the Olympic lifts, I think with CrossFit as well, one of our big goals, in my opinion, is not to coach everybody at a 10 out of 10, but to meet them where they are +1. So if you have this beginner, they didn't know, you can write that down, that's a good one.
Yeah.
So
he +1.
Well,
we have athletes that they don't want to be weightlifters. Yeah. So they come into the gym at a 0, coach them at a 1. Because now you set them up for success, they're having fun, they're having a good time, but I'm not going to pick apart your bar path. I'm going to look for simplicity in your timing of a high hang power snatch, and I'm going to high five the crap out of you, because then I can see you next time.
Yep.
And then we can start working downhill for the starting position. We start working downhill in the receiving position. So the fact that he's like just this overarching idea that we are all weightlifters, meet them where they are, plus a little. And then guess what? When you see him working with the elite athletes, he's tough on them. You see some pictures of him back in the day coaching Amy Everett.
Yeah.
He looks like he's about to fight somebody.
Yeah.
Because he's like, whatever you're bringing, I'm there plus a little.
Yeah.
And so I got goosebumps thinking about it. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Meet them where they are plus one.
Yeah.
And that was such a powerful thing. We have a lifetime to improve their technique, to get the details dialed in. But if you got to get them excited about doing the hard things.
Yeah.
Burpee box jumps are cool. Hanging knee raises are cool. All these movements don't take a decade to be decent at.
Yeah.
The Olympic lifts take a lot of time, and if you make it towards 10 or nothing, you lose them all.
Yeah.
Because they're like, I can't do it. I'm not good at it. I don't want to do it. I skip snatch day because my coach doesn't make it fun. I don't know how to get better.
Right.
Yeah.
Meet them plus one, and like that was such a great example. He also taught me the importance of focusing on the feet. So I think in some of like the early CrossFit education I got, a lot of it was like work from the hips out, core to extremity, as far as like where you're looking.
Sure.
And that changed my life as a trainer as well.
Right.
Focus on the big movers, and work out to the little stuff. But he taught me the value of looking at the feet.
Yeah.
And working from the base up.
Totally.
The feet will tell you everything.
Yep.
If the balance is off, you see it in the feet. If the bar pass off, it expresses itself in balance and the feet being off.
Totally.
And
we talk a lot about in the level 1 these days, or level 2, I think, more. Talking about stance and grip is the more malleable thing when it comes to the points. Is like you can affect stance and grip in an effort to get the other points more often than other things. And if those are wrong, the likelihood of other stuff going wrong is much higher. So I'm with you 100% on the feet.
Yeah, so our 3 fundamentals for the Olympic lifts: stance, grip, and positions, and like in that order.
Yeah.
The nice thing too as an athlete is you have a chance to be perfect with both of those things before you even start the lift.
Yeah.
Like you said, the better they are to start the lift, the better the lift is going to go.
For sure.
And at the end of each lift, before you recover, stand up, put the bar down, you have a chance to fix or perfect stance and grip.
Yeah.
And so like what happens in the tunnel is going to improve over time. But if you can start and finish perfect,
couldn't agree more. And you make the point that the athlete has the opportunity to be perfect in those things before they lift. But I think it's our job as the coaches, it's our responsibility to get them there.
Yeah.
And from my experience, so many athletes, they walk into the gym and they're brain dead. Like, I love this because I'm going to walk in, you're going to tell me what to do and how to do it, and I'm just going to do it. And I think sometimes we as coaches assume that, hey, I've had Pat here for 5 years. He snatched before. He knows where his feet go. And so then we take it for granted that I said, hey, feet under the hips or feet shoulder width, and assume because I said that and because he's done it for a while, he's going to do it right. And then from my experience, most of the time they don't. And so, yes, they should be perfect before they move, but it's our job to ensure that happens.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can make those static corrections before any movement happens.
Before anything happens,
okay, get set, check them down. It's not easy, but it's very doable.
It is
easy.
If
okay,
you're looking for it. It's the easiest thing for us to do as far as correcting goes.
I was going to say, it's not easy, but there's nothing easier than that.
Yes,
it's not easy, but there's nothing easier in coaching.
But we also have to know, as a coach, we have to know what's the right position, right? Because we've got these generalizations. Hey, shoulder width, feet under the hips, but everybody's a little bit different, right? And so I think there's time under tension and with experience and understanding limb lengths that's gonna adjust some of that stuff. So
you start coaching the seminar with Berg. You do those and start in 2010.
Yeah.
We're now in 2024. So we're 14 years.
Yeah, I haven't learned much since then.
Yeah.
I just
he taught him stance, grip, and position. All set.
So where do we go from there?
Yeah. Okay. So from there, I'm still in the military. I didn't get out of the military until 2014.
Okay.
So I was still doing that.
And when did you open your affiliate?
2008.
Okay, so you had your gym for 6 years while you were still in the military. Sick.
Yep. And I'm working really hard on coach development at my gym. Developing coaches was step number 1 for me because I had to leave a lot.
Okay.
Guess who my first wave of coaches were? Those same kindergartners that were then 20 years old.
Dude, what a fun full circle
freaking
movement.
awesome.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
So after
and they've had this example of you for so long. So when
if they were bad, it was because I was terrible.
Totally.
Yeah.
But they probably represented exactly what you wanted from your space because you were like...
Yeah, they knew the culture that you brought.
Dude, it makes me
exactly
emotional.
What the expectations were from the time they were 5.
Yeah. It makes me emotional. Like, those were amazing times. Like, I had one deployment that I had to take pretty short notice. We had a guy that had a brain injury. I had to fill in pretty short notice. And these 19, 20-year-olds were like, yeah, we got it. Yeah. And it might not have gone good. It might have been terrible. But the fact that they were like, dude, you showed us what to do. We're gonna be fine. Was like, that was amazing. That was amazing, right? It's like, how special is that? Because when they were in high school, I was coaching them after school. But they started calling it man training.
Yeah.
Because they're like,
it
was awesome, dude. Because like, do you remember the early days of CrossFit where like Greg Glassman was at the whiteboard? He's not only talking about like fitness, but the application to real life.
Oh yeah.
And so I was like doing my like
impersonation.
I'm trying to teach these same lectures because they had such a profound impact on me of why we're doing these things.
Yeah.
And one of the kids one day was like, dude, this is like man training. How to be like a hardworking man. And so they started calling it man training.
Oh yeah.
And then so anyways, they've been doing this since 5-6 years. They've been doing CrossFit at the time. Yeah. And so team development, coach development was always really important to me because I think you're only as strong as your team, you're only as weak as your team. And so started working on that with my gym, which was really fun. We had a good amount of coaches that did an amazing job. They worked hard, they cared a lot, and every coach we've ever had in the last 17 years has just been amazing. And then continue helping Coach Burgener whenever he kind of came to the Northwest.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to my front squat story.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready for months.
Yeah.
And we get to the front squat portion of the course, and he's like, "Hey, Cody, I'm going to take it," because he's like, he's a momentum guy, he's an energy guy, and he's like, "I'm going to take it," and I'm like, "What am I going to say to Coach B?" Like, I'm like,
"Roger." I've been practicing for a month. Let me get out here and mess it up.
Roger that. Yeah,
I believe the term is yes, coach.
Yeah, Roger that. Okay, so, anyways, that happened like 3 times, so it's like a year before I get my first lecture.
But look at the amount of preparation that you did. That almost, I wonder if that was intentional nearly, of like, hey, you're going to do it. Knew you wouldn't be quite ready, right?
Sure. Yeah.
He's a momentum guy. You just need the momentum.
I think the idea of like earning your opportunities
huge.
Was intentional.
Yeah.
I think the accidentally taking 4 in a row was not intentional. So anyways, I do my first one and he goes, "Dude," "you're good."
Yeah.
And I was like, that meant a lot to me because I'd been preparing for a year. Yeah. But anyways, after that, he started giving me more lectures. And as you guys know, lecturing at a course is a different skill set than coaching classes or individuals. 100%. And so I felt really proud that because that's more of it's a teaching thing. Yeah. And so I felt really proud that this teacher that I looked up to so much was like, you're checked off on your first thing.
Yeah.
And so that pat on the back that wasn't really a pat on the back, right, was so empowering and motivating to me to do more. And so then I just started running clinics at my gym for my athletes, for other athletes in the area. We still have a weightlifting program at our gym. And so I still am just more obsessed with how do you have a foot in both buckets with weightlifting, CrossFit, and not be afraid to smash them together, right? Not everybody in your CrossFit gym wants to put on a singlet and get on a platform and lift, but they're all weightlifters.
Yeah.
So how do you get them better, but then how do you also get some people on the platform that want to do those things? And so
what are some pitfalls along the way that you've kind of run into with, because I know personally we've tried to run barbell clubs and stuff, and I've done things that have worked, I've done things that have not worked. So is there stuff that you feel either on the side of that works better than others, or things that you've done that you're like, I tried this and it didn't?
Yeah.
Talk about your journey with that.
I would say still a work in progress, right? For sure.
Always is.
We have a couple amazing coaches that they only coach weightlifting.
Okay.
And that's a really big help. We have, I think, 2 other national coaches at our gym, and they do such a phenomenal job. They kind of own certain class times throughout the week, and they do an amazing job. I work really hard to spend time on both and kind of bridge the gap, help getting people from the CrossFit side over to the platforms. That was a big help. Obstacles that we've seen is even just energy in the gym can be tough sometimes. I'm doing a quick briefing, or we're bringing it in the middle, active classroom style, to talk about something, and there's weights dropping in the corner. Yeah. At first that bugged us because we weren't used to that cultural, it felt like a clash. But I think over the years, our gym has just become hey, we do both of these things, so we're gonna kind of have that a little bit.
I would say one of the things kind of similar to that is knowing where they both sit in the facility. Like, what's the purpose of each, right?
Yeah.
So when you say, okay, your CrossFit's there to make you more fit, and fitness strength is a part of that. You don't need to do the weightlifting to get strong. Weightlifting is for if you want to enjoy weightlifting.
Right.
And if you want to just lift, and that's totally okay. But don't think you're going over there as a necessity to augment this.
Right.
And I think that's where I've had a hard time with some gyms where they cross over.
Yeah.
And people think that, that's how I get strong is over there.
Right.
And it's like,
And I think a lot of that has to do with the obviously the culture and the coaching. Whereas I think where I've seen that go wrong is inevitably you have the sides that are like, no, this is better and that sucks, or this is better and that sucks. And so if you've got a coach that only coaches Olympic lifting and like rolls their eyes at CrossFit, then maybe there's this divide. But if you've done a good job, which it sounds obviously that you have, of like, hey, it's cool that you're just doing this, but we do this and you guys all see the value in this, then I think it's easier to bridge the gap there.
Yeah. I think so. Most of the weightlifting coaches that we do have, they also do CrossFit.
Right.
They just don't coach it.
For
so
sure.
like that helps it be like, it works pretty well, like
they just have the context for where it belongs.
Where it fits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we do have some athletes that maybe once a year they'll go back to weightlifting and do a full 10, 12-week cycle, do a meet, and then come back to CrossFit. And like you said, they just understand the intent of each class, each area, right?
And I think that comes from you, like, because you'll come with the education of like, hey, here's where this sits, here's where this sits, here's what they're for.
Yeah.
And there doesn't need to be contention amongst those things.
Right.
I think where the overlap and weirdness happens, exactly like he said, is like, why are we doing this?
Right.
And if you don't explain that very explicitly and the coaches aren't all on the same page, then you're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
Because then you get the weightlifters rolling their eyes at the CrossFitters,
Right.
and the CrossFitters being like, I guess that's the only way I get strong, as you go over there, and you're like, it's not how it works.
Right. Well, even culturally, like, it is great that there's weightlifting in CrossFit, but culturally there's some differences, right? Like,
for sure.
In CrossFit, if you walk in front of somebody about to lift, nobody cares.
Yeah. Nope.
Not a big deal.
Yep.
In the weightlifting area, that's like, it's not awesome.
No.
Like, just little things like that.
Yeah.
And so just like teaching people, like, just little stuff like that can be helpful too. And but not in a way that's like aggressive or attacking or intimidating, to where they still feel welcome. We'll teach you stuff on the way. And
well, I mean, there's the other stuff where it's like in CrossFit, you barely rest between sets.
Right.
And then in weightlifting, you have to, like, when you bring your CrossFitters over, you're like,
bring a
whoa,
couch.
sit back down.
Bring a couch over. I'm going to sit back.
Because they're like, no, I'm going to go again. No. Sit back down.
when that clock says 13, you can stand up and do one more.
Yeah.
That's like
what?
That's like 5 minutes from now. Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
I love that education across.
Yeah.
Now,
pretty fun.
not only have you developed your trainers at your gym and your affiliate, but now are you responsible for training people on the weightlifting team? Is that right? Or your staff development?
Yeah, so I have a handful of individual athletes. Our weightlifting coaches worked really well together, honestly. We have, most of us have a few individuals that, like, they're the primary coach for these folks, primary coach for these folks. I'm the primary coach for a few folks. And that doesn't mean that we can't all coach each other's athletes, if that makes sense. Like, that doesn't mean that I'm off limits for giving cues, corrections to this person. But as far as like helping them decide what meets they're gonna do, what's the yearly plan, things like that, we try to like really be respectful. Like, you make the decisions with that athlete, not for that athlete, with that athlete. I'll make the decisions with my athletes, and then we'll work hard together. And the cool thing is, though, we'll go to a meet, and whether we're at nationals, at a local meet, there's a good chance that we have a few of them lifting at the same time. So let's say if two of my athletes are lifting at the same time, I have no doubt that any one of those other coaches or one of our teammates could help count cards and coach one of those athletes and do a phenomenal job. And that's the power of having a really great team and working together. They might do things a little different than I do, but that doesn't mean they're not absolutely phenomenal at what they do. And it's fun to see them in action when that happens.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the reasons I've loved joining Best Hour, or even like you and I have not crossed paths much, ever.
We met in 2010. I don't know if I've seen you since.
I know. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
It's like one time, and we've been in the same space for almost 20 years together.
Right. That's
so
funny.
It's like, So like your development has been on another trajectory, right? Like it's been in a different place.
Right.
But we do teach the same stuff. So what I would love is to see you teach, because what I've loved, like meeting Todd and like hanging out with Todd, because he developed on the East Coast, I developed on the West Coast. We've taught level 1s for roughly the same amount of time.
How fun.
And so it's like when I see him deliver this stuff that I've delivered thousands of times, It's the same stuff.
Right.
But it's slightly different.
Yeah.
And even in some ways drastically different. And I'm like, oh, that works just as well.
Right.
And I'm like, thank you.
Right.
Because I never would have gone that direction without you doing it yourself. So having a team that's multifaceted like that.
Yeah.
Same belief structure, same goal we're pursuing with people, but just a different way of going about it.
Right.
It just is the best to learn from. So it sounds like you've created a good space for your people there.
It's pretty great.
So now you're teaching a lot. You said you're circling the continent a couple times this year.
Yeah, I got quite a few trips this year. Getting to teach coaches how to teach the Burgener way to coaches and athletes around the world. And that's such an honor, to be honest, to be able to represent Coach B and the Burgener family around the world, bringing his material to this next wave of coaches and athletes. It's something that I never take for granted. I like to work really hard and bring the energy, passion, pride that he showed me. We like to work hard. I believe in trying to care, prepare, connect, and serve. And so I take every trip, every course, every athlete, every attendee experience. I take it very seriously. I take it to heart.
Yeah.
And it's an honor to go work really hard to try to help people who are going to go then help people.
Yeah.
Just like you guys have at the level ones. How do you not get excited when people come to you? They say, I want you to help me help people.
Yeah.
That's that's amazing. That is a big, it's an honor that we get to have that role in their journey. And I think it's a big mission for us coaches that have been around a while is how can I keep getting better at helping coaches help people? Yeah. And it's really fun. That's my main role with Burgener Strength is helping coaches within our team develop and then coaching courses around the world.
Oh, yeah.
Is it that the same list? Like what? Anybody can go online and find the Burgener warm-up, right? And the progression, right? So what is it that you guys are trying to take beyond that? And it's the same thing at the level ones, right? Everybody can go and read and see videos of all the lectures. You know the 9 foundational movements. We're trying to provide a transmission of culture. What do you guys, what is it that you want those participants to walk away with beyond, here's the progression, here's how to coach? Like what are you trying to deliver to them?
I would say maybe 3 things kind of jump into mind. Hear you say that. One is just the energy, passion, pride of delivering this, and what you can bring to a course is the same thing that they should bring to a class. If you can make it exciting, they're going to have fun, right? If they like you, they're going to listen. If they're having fun, they're going to learn. If they trust you, they will work hard for you. So how do you develop those relationships to where you can push people, pull people? I'd like to think that at our courses, we're setting a good example for what that can look like in a weightlifting session. And that all came from Coach B and the Burgener family. They are so passionate. They care so much. It's so genuine. They just can't, it oozes out of them.
Oh, yeah.
So they were just such great examples for me coming up for that. Another thing is connecting the dots of what you can find online. You know what I'm saying? So you can find all the material, but how do you connect dots to where you can really help get somebody from A to B? Because as you're going from A to B, if there was a part missing, you have to find that missing part. Otherwise, C isn't going to happen very well.
For sure.
So connecting dots is really, really valuable. And then just the depth of, okay, here's the material, but here's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Here's what it feels like.
Yep.
And then here's a few different ways to talk about it, explain it. And then when you're working with somebody live, things just come up that aren't in the book.
Right.
And you're like, well, let's try this. And all of a sudden you're like, okay, we problem solved this thing together. Now we have a new idea that we can maybe bring to you, or that's how it goes. So those are kind of the things that stand out to me as far as anyone can read the manual and get a ton out of it. That would get you really far, to be honest. But connecting the dots, showing the energy of trying to get what you want out of your athletes, and then just the details and adjustments that you would make along the way.
Absolutely. So what to you is a good coach? So if I said this person is a good coach, what are the traits? What are the things you look for? Like if you were like going to bring someone on staff, like for Burgener's, like what are you looking for? What is that product?
So the first thing I do is I like to have I call it a 2-way interview. Just chat. Like that's awesome that you want to coach. I think you'd be a great coach. Let's talk sometime. And the first question I ask is like, first of all, I just let them know how they already have a positive impact on our community. If they've gotten to the point where we're having that talk, I already respect them, look up to them. They're already a contributor. They're a leader. They're an example. And I ask them why they want to coach. And the 2 words that I'm looking for, I want to hear help and care. I really want to help people. I care about people, and I think I can help them.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. And I'm like, I don't care about tradecraft. I don't care about your personal, your public speaking skills. I'm like, we can do something with that. And then we kind of go from there. Hopefully it's the kind of person that's energetic. They have some of those intangibles.
Yeah.
But if they want to help and they care, that's pretty easy.
Yeah.
That's pretty easy. And then you can kind of add tradecraft on top of that.
I love it. I've never referred to it as tradecraft, but I will forever now.
Yeah, sweet.
Do they have the tradecraft? We can teach that.
We can teach tradecraft.
Welcome to the knowledge.
You can teach tradecraft. I don't care what the skill is.
I agree. I agree.
So that's what I look for, care and help. And then I also like, a lot of our coaches don't want to go from I'm not coaching to I coach full time.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a transition phase of you're coaching 2 classes a week.
Yeah.
It's like a dating phase before marriage.
Yeah.
And that's a nice opportunity for both of you, because maybe 4 months in, it's actually, they aren't quite where you'd like them to be.
Yeah.
And so now you're trying really hard. It's just not maybe a good fit. But and we try to tell them this up front, but at least you know more about what we do here. It's going to make you a better athlete.
Yeah.
Or maybe they get to a point where they move to more of like a fill-in position or like an open gym position. Or maybe after 4 months, they realize it doesn't fit into their life very well and they need to back out. So I kind of we like to hire slow when we get a chance to. And it can take a while to develop somebody that's really amazing. But you can have a really good coach in a few months.
Oh, yeah.
If you work really hard work hard.
Especially if they've gone through your being a member for a while.
Correct.
And just like we've already said a couple times, it's like they see the example, they know what's expected. That's what's nice, is like if they've been a member at your affiliate and seen you coach and you talk to them about coaching, they already know what coaching looks like according to you.
Yeah.
And I think to your point, then it's like, well, how much work do you want to put into this thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can get as good as you want in a short amount of time. You just got to put the time into it, right?
Yeah. Have you guys ever had a new coach coming up and there's this moment where you're like, wow, you sound just like I do out there? Oh. That's like milestone 1. Milestone 2 is you didn't sound anything like me, and it was just as good. Those to me are 2 moments that I always look forward to in a new coach.
Yeah.
It's it makes me so excited.
That was you. That wasn't me. That was you. I saw that.
Yes.
So much of that, though, you can, especially with what we do with the seminars, it's you can see oh, that's a Southeast thing, things that we do. It's because we've been brought up under trainers that did things a certain way. So I think to your point, it's cool when you see that and you're like, oh yeah, that's definitely me.
Right.
And then when they mix in some of the stuff that's that's not me, you came up with that on your own, more than likely means they're feeling comfortable and confident in what they're doing, but they're also starting to unpack some of the stuff that more than likely they've just been copying you do up until that point, and now they're figuring out how to actually create it and implement it on their own. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I think it takes a certain level of humility, though, to step back and be like, that's not me, but that's good.
You're right.
It's probably better.
Right.
Hopefully. That's the goal. That's my goal, right? Is I want you to be a better coach than I am.
I had to learn that lesson as a developer the hard way, because I knew what I did worked, but I didn't know if other people did worked.
Yeah.
So I was I would see someone who deviated from that, and I had to make the mistake of being no, not like that.
Here's my progression. Use this one.
Yeah, use this one. But then, I had this guy who had such credentials that I basically let him do his thing, and then I paid attention to the results, and I was like, oh, that's working just as well. Yeah. And it was totally different than how I did it. And I was like, okay, that was eye-opening for me as a young developer of coaches.
Right.
You don't need to be me. In fact, take some of what I do, but at the same time, I need you to be the best version of you. And there's other ways of going about that. Yeah.
Right. If you were trying to be somebody else for too long, you are now limiting yourself at being your best you.
Right.
So it's great to mimic early.
Yeah.
And that's how you learn. That's how you learn, right?
Change and you take it and make it work.
Yep.
Well, that's awesome. So where can anybody find you these days? How do we get a hold of Cody?
So you can find me on Instagram at Looney Cody or at CrossFit Advantage or Burgener Strength. And I got 2 affiliates up in the Seattle area. If you're ever in the area, come on by. I'd love to have you.
Which gym? Advantage?
CrossFit Advantage and CrossFit Advantage Everett.
Nice.
Yep.
Cool.
And then check out a Burgener Strength course coming by near you. Yep. If it's not me, it's somebody else awesome. If it is me, I'll give you a high five. We'll have some fun. But I'm out here.
Hell yeah, man. Well, thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Behind the Knowledge. Now, if you want help developing your coaching and to learn from us directly, check out The Knowledge Pro. There we host live calls with our coaches every week where we discuss content together and work on skills to improve our on-the-floor coaching ability. To learn more, you can head over to besthouroftheirday.com/theknowledge. And if you found this content helpful, we're going to be releasing new episodes every week, so subscribe to the podcast and share it with a friend. Thanks again for listening, and we look forward to seeing you again next week.